So the next speaker is André Sommer Caetano. He's from Brazil and he lives in Düsseldorf. He worked at eBuddy, so he knows what the startup life is all about. And the last years he worked at CNA, and we all know CNA. And CNA, yeah, is it dominating the high street, the shopping street? Is it successful, or are they in danger? Quite interesting, actually, to ask ourselves. Who is shopping at CNA? That's the question, because nobody wants and nobody dares to answer that question, which is quite interesting also. Though. All right, enough talking for me. Ladies and gentlemen, here is André Sommer Caetano.
Goedenavond. So, nobody shops here at CNA, very good. Does anybody work in e-commerce, for example, in digital retail specifically? Okay, so a minority. First of all, let me introduce myself. As Pim already mentioned, I started my career at eBuddy. Who knows eBuddy here? Hands up. All right, we have a lot of young people here also, so you see that times are moving by. eBuddy was one of the first glorious startups in the Netherlands. They did mobile messaging kind of before the time of that WhatsApp came out, first aggregating MSNs and Yahoos, and then later also trying to move into the OTT landscape, which is the WhatsApp landscape. We failed miserably, but I can tell you, amazing learning experience. As a marketer, I used to run marketing communications there, and of course I knew if you want to be in marketing, you have to work for an agency or for a brand. Came the opportunity to join CNA. So CNA, as though is a Dutch company, it's actually based in Germany. Düsseldorf holds one of its headquarters. And there, basically, I led digital marketing for the whole European operation. A few months ago, I decided I had enough of my work, and I quit. I started working for myself. So I'm currently a consultant in marketing and overall digital business. And Somkai basically stands for the first syllables of my last name, so in case you didn't get that. I'm here actually to tell you a little bit of a story. So after spending so much time in the digital landscape, and of course after spending 3 years in a large retailer and getting to see all these different things that are happening right now in retail, I want to tell you a little bit of fairy tale about that things aren't always what they seem. And I'm very curious also for you to later tell me what you think, if you want to write me an email or you want to approach me at the drinks. The obvious thing is that the internet has changed everything, right? For those of us here in the room that are old enough to have seen life a little bit before the internet. But if you think about it, it has changed everything. And of course, it has changed the way we communicate, and in business also the way that we market. And of course, it has been really changing the way we buy, and of course, as businessmen and women, how we sell. Now, oh, look, my slide doesn't look good, great. Now, basically what it reads here is that retail landscape is no exception, right? So what you see here, for example, are 9 very large American retailers, and you see their difference in market value between 2006 and 2016. So 10 years, okay, which let's agree, it's not that much of a time. Now, for example, Milan mentioned also Walmart, right? You see there below actually doing pretty all right. They used to be worth 214 billion to 212. But overall, what you see here, you see very large household names, companies that have had thousands of stores across the United States and are losing massive amounts of market value. Look, minus 96%, 64, 55. And funnily enough, look who's at the bottom. Actually today worth more than all these companies combined, Amazon, with a 2,000% growth in the last 10 years. Today worth more than $355 billion. Yes. No, sorry, it's market valuation. So basically a stock market valuation. So what is the company worth today? Its shares by its amount. Now, of course, a big driver of this is digital commerce, right? We all know people are buying things online these days, and that is a large opportunity for businesses. To give you an idea, for example, this year, digital commerce will actually amount to $2 trillion in worldwide sales, and this number is going to double to $4 trillion by 2020. That's a lot of money, right? Now, of course, if you're a retailer and you see these trends and you see that this market is moving this way, you're going to absolutely join the group, right? So retail businesses today are actually investing hundreds of millions of dollars to build really large and costly e-commerce operations, right? It is not uncommon today for you to meet a company that is mid-sized and has over 100 people working in their e-com division. Now, the thing that often people don't talk about is that the fact that online sales are and still will remain a pretty small part of overall retail sales. So for example, one study showed that by 2020, they expect that all sales in retail, only 14.6% of them are going to be actually happening online, right? 14.6%. It is a considerable number, but it's not everything, right? Now, something that is very true is the fact that digital and online is really influencing how we live, right? So this is, for example, a study from Deloitte that shows that just in 2014 already, pretty much half of all purchases that happened in store in the United States were influenced by online or digital means, or mobile means, sorry. This number is going to go up to 90%. Now, if you think about it, this is pretty obvious, right? We spend a lot of time online. We're browsing things, and this is our consideration phase, right? We are influenced by everything that happens to our lives. And of course, digital is influencing a lot of the things that we actually end up buying offline. Now, on top of that, what's really interesting is that sales is actually a really small fraction of what we do with retailers online. So to give you an idea, this is a study that studied $13 billion worth of commercial transactions on e-com. And the average conversion rate, so a person that visits a website of a retailer versus a person that buys something, the average conversion rate is 1.33%. So of 100 people that come to a website, only 1.33% of them buy. Now, the same study basically isolated the most best performing businesses, so the top 10%. And those businesses that were best performing ones actually had a conversion rate of 3.65%, which is still 3.65 people out of 100 actually buy something. Now, that is not very crazy, because if I would ask all of you, how often do you visit an online shop and how often do you actually buy, right? There is a difference there, right? We're often considering looking at things, oh, those are some nice sneakers. When my salary comes in, or I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to buy them. So in a lot of ways, I like to say e-commerce is 3% sales conversion. And a lot of the business is really built upon this. For those of us, the few of us that actually work in the industry, and we know that there's a lot of energy trying to move this number. How can I get from 3 to 4, right? People coming to my website actually to buy something. But a lot of people are ignoring actually the underlying factor, which is it's 97% actually consideration. Right? And what I mean to say actually is that digital is more than a shop. It's your largest window. Right? And if you work in retail, for example, or if you walk, in the main road here, on the main shopping streets of every city, you see, next time you're walking around, look at the energy that is spent on the window of every store. Right? Retail displays are a very important part of communications in retail, because it's actually the thing that should actually stop you and get you to come into their store, right? The first goal in retail is traffic, get people into the store, right? And this is actually a very crucial function on attracting and inspiring, because we live in interesting times. This is one of my favorite paintings. It's a Banksy, and it kind of reflects how we live today. Because if you think about it, we live at times where customers are easy to ignore and very hard to trust, right? We are masters today of ignoring marketing. It's hard. It's a hard time to be a marketer, right? And if you look at it, what we're looking for is a much wider connection. One research from Ogilvy and Google, they said that 42% more often, people choose brands that engage them on their passions and interests, rather than just tell you, buy my product, it costs $20, right? 78% of consumers actually believe that organizations providing custom content are willing to build a good relationship with you, right? We don't want only, we know prices and products. If I ask anybody here in the audience, find me this pair of sneakers, find me that laptop with that configuration, we can find those things, right? So we're looking for novelty. We're looking to, why do we spend 3 times as much money on Apple products, right? Because it says something about us, right? We're looking for identification. And the thing is, as a marketer, you're trying to address all these things in a complete ADD world, right? This is a research from Social Bakers that said that Facebook videos, so Facebook videos are right now are a very strong medium in marketing. A lot of people are getting into it. And they said that the videos where people watch the most, that they get to the final completion of the video, they're up to 21 seconds. Why? Because we live like this. We hold this phone, we go to Facebook or whatever social network of choices, and we just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. And my teams have always discussed about how can we create content that makes you stop the thumb from moving, right? Now, I like to believe what I'm telling you right now is not crazy, right? This is how we live. This is how we live as consumers. Yet, is this the experience that we get from retailers? I like to believe that it's not. And if I would ask you right now, how often do you feel that an online retail experience is designed to support your consideration phase? So how often do you go to a website of a retailer and you feel that they're there to just really impress you and inform you, show you a good time, inspire you perhaps, right? Or how often actually do you feel that this online retail experience is really trying to speak to your interests and what's important to you, right? How often are they really there to say, hey, we're here to show you a great time and really speak to you and show you we understand you and we know what your priorities are. And last but not least, how often are you really given reasons beyond price and product availability to build a relationship with a retailer online, right? Or are we just actually, we know exactly what we want. Are we perhaps just looking for who has the best price, the fastest delivery, perhaps also the free delivery? I like to believe none of this is being addressed. And this really comes down to because digital retail experiences are designed for sales, right? Dutch example, you visit a website and you say, I'm either going to buy something or I'm looking for something. What do they provide you? They provide you a search bar where you can type in if you know exactly what you're looking for. You have a menu, right, which you can select categories, subcategories. I want a television, I want it like this. And normally, basically, once you get to the point that they're going to present you products, they just give you a product grid. So 9 products, 12 products, sometimes you can have a full endless list of just a bunch of stuff that you have to then click, read the descriptions, and figure things out for yourself, right? And fashion, for example, of course, fashion is a lot about aspiration. It's a lot about, how we want to portray ourselves, individuality, right? So here, lovely competitor of my former employer. Beautiful lifestyle imagery. You click on it, once again, most of the times you just land on a bunch of products and you have to figure out for yourself, what does that mean? Now, what about, for example, if I want to buy a television, okay? So I'll give you my example. I have one TV at home, I barely use it. It's not very important. But now it's winter outside, it's Netflix season. So I want to put a TV in my bedroom so I can actually watch TV also from the bedroom. It would be nice to watch a video. Now, if I go through a regular experience, all I'm going to get to eventually is the place where they have all the TVs, and I can filter per how many inches I can buy and which brand and how much it costs. But what about if that's not everything for me? What if I want to find, for example, something that, I want something that fits in my bedroom. So I have a nice bedroom, and I don't want a solarium of 60 inches that is just going to give me a 10 every time I'm watching it. I actually want something that blends in. Right? That you come in, it's not all you see is a television. Now, this is, for example, back in the day when you would go to a store and talk to a sales clerk. Those are the great conversations that would help you actually find the real product that you're meaning. Now, how hard is to start doing this, and how often do you get these experiences? And if you ask me, not often enough. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people doing this. Mr. Porter, anybody know Mr. Porter here? Very good, 1 man. 2. Mr. Porter basically is a high-end luxury fashion portal for men. It's part of the Yoox Net-a-Porter group, which is one of the largest online players in retail. They have a lovely journal, which is a place that actually has inspiration, videos, tips, how to dress, what's hot right now. But things that are actually done for the consumer. They're not trying to sell you stuff or force feed you into buying something. They're just trying to say, look, we know fashion, we know man's fashion, we know what's going on, take a look, right? At CNA, for example, right, so you said none of you shop at CNA. And CNA is a value retailer, right? They sell non-expensive clothing. I'm not going to say cheap, right? They're not expensive. Now, if you look at a company like CNA, I joined CNA, and every communication in a business like this is price, product. Jacket, 29 euros. Skirt, 9 euros. Now, if you look at fashion, right, clothing has become fashion, and fashion is something truly personal. It's, it expresses who we are, right? It shows, it's a way for us, one of the easiest ways for us to show our individuality, which is so important in today's world. Now, you don't choose clothes because of their price. Of course, you buy clothes because of their price. If you can't afford it, you can't have it, right? But nevertheless, we're looking for those retailers that actually speak to us, that represent us. Why do you wear Lacoste but not Polo? Why do you wear Adidas but not Nike, right? It's a very emotional game. Now, I'm not going to gain you on an emotional game if I'm just showing you price and product. So what we did there is we launched a lifestyle blog. And basically, we're talking about baking cookies, having fun with your kids, what to wear on a cold, rainy day like today, how to look good on your bike on a day like this. And it's something that we created and we called it a gift machine. It's actually really designed to just show to people, look, CNA actually understands you, right? Because I can tell you, if you go to a CNA store, and I've done that before with girls, for example, former girlfriends, and if I give you 2 hours in a CNA store, whether you're a lady or a man, doesn't matter, you will be surprised at some of the things you will find it. The only problem is that you actually never get to walk in there anymore, right? And I'm not going to convince you to walk in there anymore if I just tell you, I have these jeans, they're really good price, 19 euros. You say, whatever, I can get them elsewhere, right? And very often brands don't want to do this because your boss is going to ask you, okay, how much money are you making out of that, right? Because the guys at e-com, the ones that are selling the online shops, they can tell you, look, when I throw that person those 12 TVs, 1.33% of them buys it, I'm making X money. But there are ways for you to actually to make money and prove how this impacts revenue. What we started doing there also is that we started bringing stories to the shop. So in the online shop, you're there. For example, pregnancy is a very large topic. And you see that you can help people to understand things. For example, you can tell people here are 27 styles of jeans, and you can tell them, here are great jeans that you can wear on a Friday night, but you can also look good at work. For a lady, here are jeans that are very comfortable when you're out with your kids, but you still can wear them also to work, right? It's that help that a sales clerk gives you, and it's something that is not that hard to actually really deliver. The problem is, everybody in this game is just trying to move the needle on the money, because on e-com you can make money, right? And every business is looking at it, trying to convert, even after you have left. So I'll give you an example, and I don't know if anybody has gone through it. Has anybody rented a car recently? Okay, there we go. Also not the gentleman. So I've had to rent a car recently. So what is the first thing I do? I go online and I'm going to look for a car. Sixt is a brand I know. I've rented from them before. They're one of the big players. It's a good place to start. I visit their website, look around, see what I wanted to know, got the prices, left. And then I'm visiting another website, doing something else that is important in my life, and this thing starts following me. Who has seen something like this before? Thank you. Now, the first thing really interesting to notice here is on the top there's a price hovering over the car, which was one of the cars I was looking at, which was a Golf. And it said starting from 23 euros, which I know, yes, it's true, but probably if I only rent the car for actually 21 days in 2019, because I did my research and I saw that a Golf cost me 60 euros or something like that to rent a day. Anyways, we're confronted often enough with these kind of situations, I move on, right? And a place that I like to move on to often is Facebook, right? Facebook is, part of our daily lives. And then this shows up. Ah, lovely. Now look, technically speaking, this is brilliant. They're telling me here on the bottom that they have the best offer in the Düsseldorf Central area. I live in the Düsseldorf Central area, so that means they use custom audiences, which is a tech that you can use on Facebook, that they know this guy visited our website and he searched for in Düsseldorf. Add this to the advertisement. Whoa, it's a smart use of technology, right? Once again, they're kind of deceiving me because they're telling me I can get this Beamer for $31.99, which I know is not true, right? But besides this, the worst thing about it is a lot of people talk about content in marketing, right? You have to create great content. I love to also talk about context, the word also that Milan used, and that's a very important word. Facebook is like a birthday party, okay? What you find on Facebook are your closest friends, your family members, some acquaintances, an old girlfriend, an old neighbor, right? And you're just navigating that place. There's also a table full of food and drinks. That's media, right? So you can consume some news if you want to, some entertaining, funny things. And you're living somehow on Facebook. I mean, Facebook is designed to give you the most important thing, right? It's the same with Google. If you look at these algorithms, if every time you Googled apple pie, they gave you a lemon pie, you wouldn't come back to Google. Right? The same with Facebook, right? They give priority to the people that are most important in your life. So anyways, you're navigating that and you're in your group of friends and you have your best friends with you and you're having a good time. And then all of a sudden you feel like somebody knock on you and you go, huh. And then this guy that you kind of know, he goes, hey, do you want to rent a car? I mean, David Ogilvy, which is one of the fathers of advertising, okay, very famous man, sadly passed away already. He said a very important thing in the year that my mother was born, yeah, and this is how old this is. The customer isn't a moron, she is your wife, okay? And I think it's still valid to see how interesting can it be that we live in a times that we as consumers, we're so demanding, right? And we're so ready to unsubscribe, unfollow, talk bad, yet we still have so much communications like this. Is this really how you build a business and how you build a sustainable business in 2017? I don't think so. Now, you're gonna ask me like, okay, I get it. Why is this being done, right? And honestly, I wish I had the answer, but I think that businesses are missing the point. They have this really nice expression in English that says, all that glitters is not gold, right? And so if you think from a business perspective, people think retail commerce online is very important. It's a $4 trillion business. Our management team has to do something about it. And it will continue to grow. It's growing, this year alone is going to grow 10% a year. We're living in difficult business times, right? It's difficult to sell today. There's more competition. Times are tough. So any business today is thinking, wow, there's a big opportunity happening there. We're not part of it. Let's jump on it, right? But look, don't forget, it's still a small part of the business. It's only 14.6% by 2020 out of retail. We're still going to stores. We're not going to stop doing that. Maybe eventually something's going to happen, but we like to go to stores. We like to try things on. We like to touch things, Also, the sales that happens online is still just a fraction. Like I told you guys, 1.33%, right? If I tell you right now, right, create a presentation for 1 out of these 100 people, you'll say, well, I think you're going to be missing the point here. You're going to be talking to the wrong people, right? Well, often businesses are focusing only on that. And the worst is there's more. Free shipping. Can anybody tell me who started giving free shipping that now it's pretty much standard everywhere? Somebody said? Amazon, right? So Amazon, very large business, very early on, they started, hey, a good way to earn consumers is free shipping, right? Because it really sucks to pay for shipping these days, right? I try to avoid it as much as I can. Now, did you know that Amazon spent $11.5 billion in shipping in 2015, and they only saw $6.5 billion back? So they burned $5 billion on this. And think about it, they are the largest, most equipped business to have the best deals with DHLs and FedExes. They do it just to kill the competition, because they can, right? But it's a nightmare. If you look at fashion, return rates, 50%. 50% return rates. In 2013, before Zalando went public, the CEO went out there and says, no, we're very confident. We are equipped to live with a 50% return rate. Let me tell you something about a business like Zalando. Zalando in 2015 made $2.9 billion, or euros, sorry. Okay? Their operating income was 89 million. What this means is you have a salary of 2,900 euros, and you have 89 euros left in the end of every month or year before taxes. Now, you can tell me you're paying your bills, but I can tell you if something happens and changes, you're screwed very fast. Right? Look, my bottom line is very simple. Every organization is perfectly designed to get the results it gets. This is one of my favorite sentences. Because in the end is we have to do better as people, as leaders, as team members, as professionals. We are living in very difficult times. It's difficult to succeed in business. It's difficult to maintain it. We're being bombarded with information. And very often, like the story I just told you, we're just looking at the surface of things. We're not investigating enough. We're not questioning ourselves enough, right? And then so many businesses are going under. V&D, for example, here also. So many people 10 years ago, they would have never said, impossible. How is that ever going to happen? But Blockbuster, Netflix, all these things, look at all these changes happening around us. Look at the taxi business, look at Uber. Who would have said that 10 years ago? Not even. But if you're just looking at the surface of it, how are you ever going to really see what's about to happen or what's coming up or what's really important? And I feel that all of this has to do with our most valuable asset, time. If you think about why are we so easy to ignore and to be against marketing, is because we have become, in the information age, masters of managing our times. We have a million things to do. We have a million more things to do than the generation before us, but we only have 24 hours in the day. That's never going to change. Right? So I think back, I was just telling Milan earlier also, to think back of your previous generation and how you used to read the newspaper. I was telling him that actually. Right? Think of how your grandparents used to read the newspaper. I remember my grandpa, he would just, if you put me in front of a news site, on my computer. I'll open 12 tabs, I'll give 7 seconds to each one of them, and basically in 6 minutes I've read the whole newspaper that took him 2 hours to read it. We're masters of our time, but are we doing that so well in business? I don't think so. I don't think we stop enough. If I talk to all the professionals here in the room, we have hundreds of emails coming in every day. We have meetings. We have new trends, new ideas. We're meeting amazing guys from agencies like Milan, and they're telling us all these new things that we could be doing and that are important. But how often are we stopping and asking ourselves really the large questions? Something that I use with some of my clients is a little framework that I created, and I wanted to leave you actually with something more than just, we're all gonna die here discussion. And I call it REACT. It's a little framework. And basically REACT stands for review, establish, and act. Review is pretty simple, right? Stop, look around, right? Deep dive into what you're currently doing. So if you're in a business or you're part of a team, ask yourself the question once in a while. Guys, what are we doing? What are our activities? Can we list everything that we do as a team, as a professional, as a business? Next question. How does each one of these things that we're currently doing connect to our business? If you want to sell more products, how are these things selling you more products? If you want to prepare for the future, how is that going to prepare for the future? And then last but not least, and that's the beauty of a digital age, what results do you see? There's so much you can measure today, so much you can understand. So what are you understanding? First step. Second step, establish, right? So now that you've taken the time to look around, what's different? Would you change anything? Would you stop doing something? I just worked, for example, for a company that has 36,000 people, 1,592 stores. The marketing team in Europe was 100 people. And my boss was the CMO, and I always told him, how about we make a list of everything we do? And can you imagine how many things that you're going to look at that list for a business that size, right? So many people, it's so complex that you're going to ask yourselves, why do we do this? It's probably because there was a manager 10 years ago that was doing that and somebody just kept on doing it. We're not asking ourselves the questions in the times that time is the most important thing, right? And if you do this at this period, you can actually establish what's new. Where else should we be going? What should we stop be doing? What's important to us, to our business, and most of all to our customer? Sorry if I use the word consumer. The consumer is a bad word because I am telling you, you consume. No, we're customers today. It's a relationship, right? It's not anymore, I put a guy on a horse and you buy these cigarettes and you smoke them and it's fine. It's not anymore these days. And last but not least, what you do last is you act, right? So if you have done a good review of what you're up to, if you understand everything you're going to change, then it becomes really easy actually to say, okay guys, so what should we get busy every day with? What should consume our times? What should we discuss? And in simple ways, is basically review is seeking to understand. Establishing is actually the principle of leadership, which is doing the right things. And acting is actually the principle of management, which is doing things right. So this is my little story, and I hope this was interesting for you. And if you want to get in touch with me or you want to talk to me later about this, I'll be very happy to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you.